Alexander Brumley asks, what about, I'm interested in getting a small lathe to make metal parts for my proton pack. Any suggestions for a good one to get, and any good books about lathe making? And I think that Vicky Bly asked a similar question later here. Let me see. Yeah, Vicky Bly says, in this pandemic, what would be your recommended way to start learning the lathe? Okay. There are a lot of small lathes on the market. In my experience, I would not recommend that you go out and buy a cheap antique or vintage Craftsman lathe, for instance. I find the Craftsman lathes are excellent, but they require a lot of tuning. So you need to already come to that equation with some experience in order to bring a lathe like an old Craftsman into utility, into being really useful. I love this. I think it's a German company, EMCO, E-M-C-O. Let me just double check that so I don't get it wrong, because I want to give the right advice here. EMCO Compact 5. Yeah, EMCO Compact 5 is a phenomenal little lathe. And EMCO, E-M-C-O, I have found all of the products I've used of theirs to be highly precise and tight out of the gate. I had an EMCO Compact 5 lathe mill combo, and I did almost all the prop work that I was doing on Bicentennial Man using that single machine. It was a beast. I think I ended up trading it to my friend Pierre. But they still show up on eBay from time to time. They're not too expensive, and they're definitely not too expensive for what you get. I would always try and find, if you're going to buy old machine tools, you'll save so much money buying one that comes with a bunch of tooling. And that will be the cheapest way to buy a bunch of tooling, is to buy the machine and the tooling with it. All the best deals I've gotten on tooling have been when I bought a machine to go with it. So that's a good piece of advice for purchasing one of those. I don't have any books on lathing that I found were sea changes for me. It's more about watching people use the lathe, whether it's Jimmy DiResta or this old Tony or Stefan Gozdoviner or Joe Pazinski. I mean, I get so much out of watching all those guys use their machines. Often, sometimes just the simplest approaches that they choose, I find inspiring. So watch other people. It is important to remember that even a small lathe can cause a lot of damage, can get you into a lot of trouble. Their centrifugal force is a tremendous storer of energy, so just be careful. Alexander Brumley, I'll tell you that proton pack metal parts are the ideal thing for a beginner to make on a lathe. They're all really pretty straightforward. They're brass, they're aluminum. Yeah, that is a terrific first lathe project. Another great lathe project is a chess set. You know, you've got a whole bunch of pieces to make, 32 to be exact. 16 are the same, they're all the pawns, and then 4 of everything else, except for the queens and kings. That was one of my very first lathe projects. And it's terrific because you get a thing out of it, and you also get a lot of iterative experience on the lathe. Strangely enough, the chess set that I lathed, I had bought this at a garage sale, a little traveling, beautiful wooden chess set where half the pieces, that only had half the pieces, but they're ivory. They're beautiful. And I wanted to make the other half of the pieces, and so I made them in aluminum. I have no idea where this chess set is anymore. It's somewhere buried deep in my storage. I have not seen it in 15 years. But hopefully at some point I'll come back across it again. I really do think that it is out there waiting for me. Good luck, Alexander and Vicky Bly. But yeah. All right, let's see here. Lee Marsh, hi Lee, asks this question. With your interest in watches, have you ever attempted watch repairs? By the way, there is a lot of, I see some interesting debate. Look, I wear a Planet Ocean Seamaster, James Bond style with the red 12, 3, 6, and 9, just so that everyone's on the same page. Yes, I'm totally fascinated and obsessed with watches, and I have a couple of dozen in my, oh, do you want to get a close-up? I have a couple of dozen watches in my collection. Funnily enough, I still only redound to wearing this one. I just think it's one of the most beautiful designs of a watch I have ever seen. Seriously. But Lee says, have you ever attempted watch repairs? Not yet. I have replaced the battery in a watch or two here and there, but I'm still quite spooked by approaching a watch. It's like everything in a watch is 1/10 of the size of the smallest thing I've ever worked on. But Lee goes on to say, have you ever thought about owning watchmaker machine tools such as a lathe or sensitive drill press for fine work? I do have a beautiful little sensitive drill press, although it's probably not sensitive enough for watch work. But Lee, it is funny that you asked that, because inspired by ClickSpring, I've been slowly gathering some tools. I think we can see this in Norm's shot here. So I've got some loops and some hammers and special tools. I've got a couple of different watchmaker toolkits that I've picked up on Craigslist over the last few years, because I've always hoped that one day Chris from ClickSpring would come and visit me here in the cave, and then would help me prepare a watch using some of my own equipment. Like, this is sometimes how I purchase equipment occasionally, is aspirationally. And the watch toolbox, which is, I can't say it's fully equipped as a watch repair box, but I feel pretty confident that it's like 70% of the way there to being a reasonable watch repair kit. And it's just waiting for me to work up the nerve. And I watch watch building videos. I spend time looking at YouTube videos of watch repair and watch restoration. Obviously, I'm obsessed with Chris and his work at ClickSpring. So it is totally something that I am slowly sort of dancing towards as I get better at working with small things and thinking in finer and finer increments. Every now and then, I'll just search Craigslist, and that kit I have up there is 2 different toolboxes that I bought that were just really good deals. Like the toolbox came with the stuff in it, and I could tell that the stuff in it had some value and managed to get a really good deal on it. I do a lot of Craigslist looking. It is the least return on my time investment in terms of actual objects bought, but the highest return in terms of value. So like, my Cinefex collection began because I started collecting Cinefex in around like 1996, 97. And I had all the issues from 97 until now, but I didn't have like the first 20. And I found someone sold me the first 20 on Craigslist for like $300. Like that was, I don't even know what possessed me to search Cinefex on Craigslist, but boom, somebody in the Bay Area had the first 20 issues. And I like drove to their house and bought it right away. That's a once-in-a-lifetime deal. We got some questions that have happened live, so let me take a look at those. Let's see here. Naolan Kelly says, I apologize if I'm butchering your name, Naolan. They ask, I was wondering if you had any techniques for aging copper. I love your technique for aging gold. Well, copper ages in a very specific way. Its tarnish is green, and when copper turns green, like the Statue of Liberty, our name for that is verdigris, Verdigris. And I loves me a verdigris finish. I have acids that will give me a genuine verdigris finish. And you can buy these at almost at any art store. They're like part of the crafting department of applying a little wash to copper and it immediately oxidizes it. And these are just chemicals that fast oxidize. And so you have oxidizers for brasses and coppers and steels, and there's all sorts of different colors you can apply. But I really love doing the paint technique for a verdigris finish. Have I done that as a I should do that as a one-day build, as a how-to. Because the verdigris finish is like, every painter has their different colors that they prefer, but it's usually a phthalo green and an ochre yellow and a couple of others. And it's a set of washes, and it's a mood. The verdigris finish is a mood, and it's a really specific one. And it's one that when you nail it, you can tell. It's really beautiful. I love that technique. So I don't have let me get this name again. Naolin. I can't tell you the specific technique right now, but you bring up a really good point that we're going to log here, and I'll set up some paints and do a verdigris finish demo in the next few weeks, because it's worth doing. It is a really fun finish. Please know that when I say fun, the fact is still that when I put these paints in front of me and I have a copper thing and I'm going to do this paint treatment on it, I'll still almost immediately feel like I'm out of my depth and I'm not sure this is going to go well. Every single paint job I do, I hit that moment. So lest you think that even though I'm willing to do a demo of how I do the verdigris finish, please know that somewhere in the middle of that demo, I'll be thinking, I hope no one can tell I don't know what I'm doing. That's genuinely where I get with every single paint job. So if you're feeling that way, you're right on target. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us even further, you can by becoming a tested member. Details are, of course, below, but it includes all sorts of perks, and we're building them all the time. You get advanced word and behind-the-scenes photos of some of our projects. Questions, you get to ask direct questions during my live streams, and we have some members-only videos, including the Adam real-time series of unbroken, unedited shots of me working here in the shop. They are weirdly meditative. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you on the next one.